By the time you hit 30, सब बोलने लग जाते हैं, when are you going to get married? Every random uncle, auntie in a wedding would tell you, when are you going to get married, beta? Do you have someone in your life? But here's the truth that no one tells you. Settling down too early can destroy everything that you've worked hard for. और early से मेरा मतलब age नहीं, early is about being unprepared. 50% of Indian marriages are unhappy and 28% consider divorce, but the divorce rate, that's just 1%. Why? Because of societal expectations, and divorce is sort of seen as a social stigma. You want to build a life you love, you can't play with outdated rules. Bro, listen carefully. You're not late, you're just on a smarter and a different path. You need to be ready within your own self, regardless of your age. That's why I wanted to create this video. Hello bro, my name is Arnav and I've been a dating coach for the past decade, helping men like yourself get into a fulfilling relationship that you deserve. If you're single, consider clicking the subscribe button. Hello bro and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I want to talk about something which a lot of Indian men relate to, and that is settling down before you're actually ready. Settling down before you're ready is sort of self-sabotage. Self-sabotage matlab apne aap ko khatam karne wali baat. Now, when we reach the age of 30, there's a lot of societal pressure, there's a lot of family expectations, there's a lot of people telling you to settle down. People you meet in marriages, people you meet, your relatives, your family friends. It seems like everyone is sort of pushing you to settle down. Is it a good decision? Let's discuss that today. So, सबसे पहले, you need to understand your 30s are your power years. You need to guard them. You need to guard them against the society. You need to guard them against your parents, against everyone else. Now, you might be thinking, hey man, you're saying that 30 is not a good age to marry. Then what is? Let me break it down for you. एक बार तुम सारा कुछ समझ लेते हो, you will have an understanding exactly what is the best age to get married. For everyone, it's different. Best age to get married for everyone is completely subjective. Now, 30s are your power years. You need to guard them. You need to build your throne first before you get your queen. Now, most people think, यार काम तो चलते रहेगा, lifelong चलेगा, and if I marry this girl, शादी settle हो जाएगी, and then I can work on my business, then I can work on my career, I can get that promotion that I wanted, I can open and run that business that I wanted. But the problem with that is your career mastery actually comes after 30 in most cases. In 99% cases, your career mastery is going to come after 30. Your peak years start. Peak years matlab when you have abundance in your life in different aspects of life, whether it's business, आपका business अच्छी तरह चल रहा है, आपका career अच्छी तरह चल रहा है, आपके relationships अच्छी तरह चल रहे हैं. That comes after 30. Your peak income years start after 30. So don't clip your wings too early. What do I mean? अब आप 27, 28, 29 के हो and you're thinking, okay, I should get married because society का बहुत pressure आ रहा है मेरे पे. And if I don't marry, I'm going to be an outcast. Now you need to understand, if you're a guy who doesn't have any social life, if you're a guy who's worked hard his entire life till the age of 25, 26, you've built something already. It's an automation, whether it's your career, whether it's your business. Of course, career cannot be an automation and it depends on the age as well. If you're doing a job. Now, if you've built something which is an automation, then go ahead, do get married because you have regular cash flow coming. But if you're getting married, and most of the guys who are watching this, I'm sure that you might be thinking of an arranged marriage. Especially if you're going for an arranged marriage before 30, what happens? Marriage too early is equal to limited risks. I know so many people who cannot take risks in their lives because they got married at the age of 25, 26, 27. And what I mean by this is mortgage, in-laws, kids. You will have no room for bold moves like starting a new business, switching careers, moving cities. Now, all of this you should technically do before you get married because you will not have the room or the space to do it. You'll have a lot more responsibility than already you have. And because of that, ये सारी चीज़ें आप नहीं कर पाओगे. तो अगर आपने दिमाग में कुछ सोचा हुआ है कि यार मेरे को वो बिजनेस करना है, मेरे को उस जगह पे काम करना है, मेरे को उस जगह पे ट्रैवल करना है, I need to live in a new city for 1 month. You need to do all of that before you get married. Now, another thing you want to understand, and especially I got this from a guy, and this was a guy who got married at the age of 30. The reason for him to get married was society का pressure आ रहा है, parents push कर रहे हैं, and then this guy was like, okay, I should marry, but he had no experience with women before. उसकी life में he had no girlfriends, he had never been in a relationship, and he thought कि मैंने काम कर लिया, I've worked till a point, मेरा काम चल रहा है, it's a family business, why not just get married? Now, the moment he got married, the problem was his wife had more experiences than him, and this always ate him from the inside. Now, do you think that marriage was successful? He signed up for a boot camp later. Pehle he was learning about the skills of how to attract women, female psychology. Then he applied for a boot camp and I told him, hey man, we don't do boot camps with married people, of course, for obvious reasons. But the guy was like, hey man, I never had freedom in my life. I was always working towards a goal. I was always trying to accomplish something. और अब मेरे पास freedom का थोड़ा time है, तो I want to take a boot camp. What is wrong in that? The problem is he's married. He should have definitely done it before marriage because you need to understand freedom now creates stability later. Delay gratification and win bigger later. What I mean by that, especially if you go through the arranged marriage route, you'll realize it's very commoditized. आप जा रहे हो बात करने के लिए, whether it's through a common contact, whether it's through a marriage application, a marriage bureau, you will realize that it's always so commoditized. So why not work on yourself, have more value before you actually go the commoditized route? Now, a lot of Indian guys are actually going through that route, and I'm not saying it's wrong. You need to do whatever helps you actually meet more people. I had a call with a client yesterday और वो मेरे को बोल रहा था, okay man, online dating बहुत अच्छी चल रही है, but I actually want to get married, so online dating से क्या होगा मेरा? And I was like, hey man, you can find someone, एक partner मिलेगी आपको. And he's like, my parents are pushing me for arranged marriage. Do you think I should do that? No, I told him, hey, the best decision to take over here is to actually meet those women. कुछ मिलने में तो जा नहीं रहा. The more people you meet, it's just a medium. You need to understand, cold approach, online dating, arranged marriages, arranged marriage setup, matrimonial apps, this is all a medium of meeting people. The more people you meet, you'll be able to select a better partner, someone who's more compatible, because you already have hundreds of people to choose from. But if you're going the arranged marriage route and you think कि यार शादी कर लेता हूँ बस, जिस लड़की से भी घर वाले मिलवाए, the first girl I meet, she is a yes because घर वालों ने किया, रात बाद में उनमें blame डाल दूंगा. That is a wrong mindset. You need to meet as many people before you get married, and you need to have some experiences as well. If you don't have these experiences, now let me tell you about this client who I'm working with recently. And this guy went on an online date, the same one who was telling me about dating is good. Now this guy went on his first online date, right? He went on his first online date. He met the girl. He was really attracted to the girl. He actually hooked up with the girl. Once he hooked up with the girl, उसके बाद लड़की के responses कम हो गए. Because it was his first sort of hookup, it was his first time being intimate with a girl. Obviously, he was not that good in his performance in the bed, and because of that, the girl stopped talking to him. अब ये चीज उसको अगर ये शादी कर लेता, and if he would have been married to the girl, what would actually happen? The wife would cheat on him. Infidelity would happen. A lot of these things start happening if your marriage is not good, if you don't have a clue about female psychology. So it's very important to have a courtship period before marriage to get to know the other person जिसके साथ आप शादी करने का सोच रहे हो, and also to date other people so that you have a clear idea कि अच्छा these are the kind of energies that match with me, these are the kind of behaviors that I like, and these are the kind of behaviors that I don't like. Which brings me to my next point. Most men don't even know themselves fully yet, especially Indian men. Most men, they don't know themselves fully yet. Even if they have turned 30, they fully don't know themselves yet. Now, what do I mean by that? The case of Atul Subhash is not an only case that happened in India. There's a lot of cases that happened. Of course, that came in the limelight. उसने जो भी किया, and because of that, everything just came on the news. But ऐसे काफ़ी cases होते हैं जो आपको पता भी नहीं लगते. Now, the first time I started the TheBroThing Facebook group, I think there were around 1,000 people in it, and I was in Bombay doing a boot camp. मेरे को उस time एक call आता है एक बंदे का, and he was actually contemplating suicide just before I was going on a boot camp. I took his call and I'm like, hey man, who's it? And he's like, भाई मेरे को तुझसे बात करनी है, मेरे को नंबर मिला तेरा Facebook से. And because of that, you know, I just want to tell you what problems I'm dealing with. I was going to marry this girl, and मेरे को बाद में पता लगता है उसका boyfriend रह चुका है, and you know, I'm already engaged with her, and she's still dating that guy. She's still talking to him. Now, those kind of cases are very common. So I ended up talking to that guy for half an hour. I actually met him when I came back to Delhi, and this guy was all good. He was like, okay, I'm not going to marry that girl because that is a lot of problems later if we get married. And I told him that देखो सही टाइम पे पता लग गया that you got to know all of this so that you can cancel it right now and save yourself from a lot of financial stress. तो इसका ये मतलब है self discovery needs time and struggle. आपको लोगों से मिलना पड़ेगा, आपको लोगों से बात करनी पड़ेगी, आपको एफर्ट डालना पड़ेगा, तब जाके आपको पता लगेगा किस तरीके के बिहेवियर्स, किस तरीके की एनर्जीज यू लाइक, किस तरीके के लोगों के पास आपको रहना पसंद है, स्पेशली फीमेल्स in terms of a long-term partner. Next thing you need to know is your 29 is going to be very different than your 33 or 32. इसका क्या मतलब है? Now 29 पे जो आपका mindset होगा, जो आपके beliefs होंगे, और 33 पे जो आपका mindset beliefs होंगे, especially related to dating, especially related to work and business, is going to be completely different. Now, I'll give you my example itself. At the age of 30, I'm able to do 10 times more than what I was able to do at 22. Obviously, there is a sense of urgency. एक sense of urgency आ जाता है कि 30 साल के हो गए, फटाफट सारा कुछ निपटाना है, and you need to be at a very good level. There's a sense of urgency because everyone is getting settled around you, and you also want to do that. So the mindset completely drastically shifts, I would say, when you're 29 and 30. And with that, it impacts your career growth, it impacts your business, it impacts your relationship, it impacts everything that you have in life. At the age of 30, you realize जो भी चीज़ आपकी लाइफ में एक वैल्यू ऐड नहीं कर रही, एक लॉन्ग टर्म वैल्यू ऐड नहीं कर रही, उस चीज़ को रिमूव कर देना. Because sense of urgency बहुत बढ़ जाता है. Now, personally for me, before the age of 30, I was going out to clubs and bars 5 times a week doing cold approach, night game. I'm still doing cold approach because that's my business. Because at the age of 30, you have this sense of urgency कि मेरे को सब कुछ जल्दी जल्दी निपटाना है. Because you have your friends who are settling down, you have your friends who are getting married, and I know it can put a lot of pressure on you. But if you're not at that stage, There is no point thinking about your marriage. There's a point thinking about your business, about your career, settling that down in the next 1 to 2 years, and then thinking about marriage. Learning dating skills, learning social skills. क्योंकि अगर आप बिना social skills के भी चले जाते हो एक marriage में, it's going to result badly for you. Which also brings me to the next point. Rushed lifestyle choices lead to lifetime of pain. Now that is exactly what we're seeing on Instagram these days. You open Instagram, कहीं पे कोई wife किसी husband को मार रही है, कोई spouse complain कर रही है, she's beating that, and we all saw that, especially after Atul Subhash's case. Because after that case, men realized that people are going to be sympathetic. People are going to sympathize with me. It's not like a guy is a monster anymore. If I share what pain I'm going through, people are going to be sympathetic. उससे पहले लड़कों को लगता था कि हमेशा लड़के ही गलत होते हैं. Because that is how rules were always against us, specifically when it used to come to matrimonial laws. So now people are being more aware. They're collecting more evidence before they're actually going on with the dealings. And especially because women have a lot of power to do false accusations, which is also happening. It's happening a lot. So that's why these men are trying to protect themselves from women जो अपनी power abuse कर रही हैं, and that's why they're taking these videos and these evidences, which is pretty prevalent on social media these days. Now, what do I mean by rash choices? एक मेरे पास client आएगा, and this guy was a politician. So he was like, I've been divorced once. मैं एक बार divorce हो चुका है मेरा. He was 34 years old, and he was like, I'm talking to this girl. I know she wants to marry me for my money. But my parents are like, marry her because इसकी कभी शादी नहीं हुई है, हमारा नाम खराब नहीं होगा. एक social stigma होता है attached divorce से, which a lot of people feel. If you feel that way, I would strongly suggest click the pinned comment, book a call with my team, because we can help you with that. We can help you relieve that social stigma. Now, this guy had a social stigma कि मेरी शादी नहीं होगी, and I need to get married to this girl. She's 28 years old, and my family loves her. She's not been married. That was the biggest point. She has not been married previously. कि हम political family से, so we need to show that this girl has not been married ever. Now, उसकी वजह से I told him कि this marriage is not going to suffice because the girl's way of thinking and the guy's way of thinking is completely different. The girl in her household was playing a dominant role because her father was no more. She was only being led by her mother, and her mother was also terminally sick, and she was the one who was taking care of the household. तो वो एक dominant role play कर रही थी अपने घर पे. Now, because this guy was a politician, he wanted her to play a very submissive and a feminine role. ना ये चाहता था कि वो काम करे, ना ये चाहता था वो घर के काम करे, और चाहता था कि only towards my family एक dedication हो जाए लड़की की, जो पहले भी नहीं थी उसकी अपनी family की तरफ. So that's what he wanted. So giving him all the reasons, I told him कि इसके belief सही से analyze करो आप, and then you will see कि there's a problem. You will not be able to get married to her. जो आप expect कर रहे हो वो आपको नहीं मिलेगा. You can get married, but जो आप expectations हैं आपकी, she will not be able to match up to her, and because she's not able to match up to your expectation, आप उस पर pressure डालते रहोगे, and because you're putting pressure on her, no one is actually going to enjoy each other's presence. Because no one is enjoying each other's presence, it's gonna go in a downward spiral. Now this guy was like, I don't care about any of that. I just want you to help me fasten the process. And I was like, cool man, I will help you fasten the process. Helped him fasten the process. He knew exactly at day one, this girl is marrying him for money. Helped him through the process. तो एक महीने बाद इन दोनों लोगों की शादी हो जाती है. शादी होने की एक हफ्ते बाद मेरे को उसका फोन आता है कि bro, I think we are going to separate our ways. And I'm like, why are you going to separate your ways? He's like, the thing is that she stole money and I caught her stealing money from my house, so we cannot trust her. Now we need to let her out. But the point is, this guy knew from day one that it's not love, it's commoditized love. The girl is after the money, and then when the girl is stealing the money, because probably they're not giving her the money, अब वहाँ पे जो भी चल रहा हो वो मेरे को उसकी इतनी insights नहीं है. All I got to know that the girl stole the money, and because of that, he had to file in for another divorce. And a divorce in a week. Now you can just understand the amount of financial trauma he had to go through. Not only financial, societal trauma, because एक बार उसका divorce हो चुका था already. 3 बार divorce होना कितना बड़ा social stigma होगा, especially for a person जो एक बार divorce को इतना बड़ी चीज देख रहा है. So I'm not going to reveal his name to protect the innocence, but the reality is wrong partner is equal to mental stress, financial drain और limited growth. तो जो भी अपने आपने लाइफ के बारे में सोचा होगा कि मेरे को इधर पहुंचना है, मेरे को उधर पहुंचना है, if you go through an arranged marriage route, you don't know much about the other person. दोनों फैमिलीज बैठी होती है, लोगों पे प्रेशर होता है कि ज्यादा बात मत करो, ज्यादा बोलो मत, ज्यादा बोलोगे तो कैंसिल हो सकता है. अगर आप उन सब तरीकों से जाते हो तो एक रॉन्ग पार्टनर मिलने के चांसेस और प्रोबेबिलिटी बहुत बढ़ जाता है, बिकॉज यू डोंट नो एनीथिंग अबाउट द अदर पर्सन. सो इवन इफ यू आर फ्रॉम अ कंजर्वेटिव फैमिली, मेरा एडवाइस ये रहेगा, अपनी फैमिली को बताओ मेरे को कोर्टशिप का टाइम मिलना चाहिए और उसमें आप लोग इन्वॉल्व नहीं होने चाहिए, ताकि मैं उससे बात कर पाऊँ. आई कैन अंडरस्टैंड मोर अबाउट द गर्ल, आई कैन अंडरस्टैंड कि वो सोचती किस तरीके से, उसकी सोच किस तरीके से है. नाउ यू माइट बी थिंकिंग कि यार 30 साल का होने के बाद अगर मैं शादी नहीं करूँ तो कब करूँ. You are saying कि 30 पे शादी मत करो. No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is 30 पे अगर आप स्टेबल नहीं हो तो don't rush in for a relationship. अगर आपकी चीज़ें, अगर आपका करियर, अगर आप उस ग्रोथ लेवल पे नहीं पहुंचे जहां आपने सोचा था या जहां पहुंचना चाहते हो, do not go for marriage right now just because of pressure. Because loneliness is a lot better than regretful marriage. एक रिग्रेटफुल मैरिज आपको ब्रिंक ऑफ डिप्रेशन पुश कर सकती है, वो लोनलीनेस भी कर सकती है। बट एक रिग्रेटफुल मैरिज आपकी फैमिली को भी ब्रिंक ऑफ डिप्रेशन पुश कर सकती है, आपके फाइनेंशियल स्ट्रेस दे सकती है। इट कैन गिव यू अ लॉट ऑफ मेंटल स्ट्रेस एंड इट कैन कंप्लीटली लिमिट योर ग्रोथ, वेदर इट्स प्रोफेशनल, वेदर इट्स पर्सनल. It can be anything. It will limit your growth because it's a regretful marriage. It's a wrong marriage. Now, what I believe is temporary loneliness is better than permanent dissatisfaction. अगर आप अभी के लिए लोनली फील कर रहे हो, इट्स बेटर देन परमानेंट डिससैटिस्फैक्शन. बट इसका ये मतलब नहीं है कि आप टेम्पररी लोनली फील करते रहो. What you should do technically is you should learn the art of social skills. Social skills सीखो. Try to talk to more women so that you have an idea about talking to women at least. Because even that courtship period that you're going to demand from your family, what are you going to talk to her if you don't have any idea what to talk to a woman about, how to pump her emotional state? इसके बारे में हमने काफी सारी वीडियोस बनाई है पूरे चैनल में, आप पूरा चैनल देख सकते हैं. You learn a lot. But start learning at least. If you're thinking about an arranged marriage route, you also need to understand आपको lonely रहने की बिल्कुल भी जरूरत नहीं है. You can still get on a dating app. You can still start meeting people, start building the momentum, start learning what actually women respond to. क्योंकि even if you're targeting to find love through dating apps and through modern dating methods, whether it's cold approach, you need to understand modern dating is a long game plan to win. It's a long game plan to win. Whether you're approaching people or whether you're doing it through online dating apps, quality options actually expand after the age of 30. Most people think that, okay, I'm going to get really high quality options, but on dating apps specifically, quality options would expand after the age of 30. Because as your career and your lifestyle improve, your dating pool gets bigger and better. But provided you're a social person who's actually actively taking action to make it bigger and better. Now, कुछ लोग ऐसे भी होते हैं जो 30 साल के होते हैं और उन्होंने बहुत काम किया होता है. They have built probably $1 million business, but they're not going out, they're not taking any action, they're not taking any initiative, they're not working with a social skills coach. They're not doing it themselves. I understand if you don't want to work with a coach, but if you have the resources, if you have the business, if you have everything set, why not fast track your process? Now, ऐसे भी मैंने लोग देखे हैं जिनका lifestyle completely in-house ही होता है. They're only sitting in their office, in their house, they're going to the gym. उसके अलावा वो कुछ नहीं कर रहे. If your lifestyle is like that, then definitely seek professional help. All you need to do is click the pinned comment below and schedule a call with my team. But if you're a guy who has a decent lifestyle, you have a decent social circle, you are talking to a lot of people, maybe you use online dating apps, maybe you go to the bar once in a month, you have a social thing going on for you, you have a social life that is going on for you, then you really don't need to be worried about options because you need to understand. जब तुम 30 साल के हो, you're looking for a girl who's probably 28, 29, maybe 27, but you have enough options at that point in time. However, being a dating coach, I want to give you the probability. The moment you go above 35, the game definitely changes a little. What I mean by changes a little, क्योंकि लड़कियों के filters रहते हैं कि 30 to 33 तक का बंदा मिल जाए, हमें 34 तक का बंदा मिल जाए. That's why not a lot of girls are looking for men who are above 34 or 35, especially in a country like India, in conservative towns, whether it's Jaipur, whether it's Calcutta. These are the kind of places. But if you're living in a metropolitan, you really don't need to worry because you'll find people who have the same objective, जो 30-35 साल के हैं, who have never been married, who actually want to find love as well at that point of age. But if you're in a smaller town, this can be a little bit of a problem. पहली बात वहाँ पे societal pressure ज़्यादा होगा, cultural pressure ज़्यादा होगा. दूसरी बात वहाँ पे लड़कियाँ कम होंगी उस एज की, तो आपको लगेगा कि हाँ कर ही लेना चाहिए. So if you're living in a small town, मेरा suggestion ये रहेगा 35 साल से पहले कर लो. But if you're living in a metropolitan, you can still push it to 35, 36, 37. So you might be thinking, what is the best time to actually get married? Now, if you're in a smaller city like Jaipur, Agra, I know the expectations can be a lot, societal pressure can be a lot, especially even if you're 25, 26, 27. And if you plan to stay in that city and if you have a person that you've been dating, good enough, you should get married. You have known the person for years. If you don't know the other person, you're going for the arranged marriage route, think about it. Have you built something for yourself? How will you support your family? Don't be on splitwise with your wife. I heard that too. So there was this girl I knew who was telling me that my husband made me download splitwise on first day. Do not do that. Do not do that at any cost. So if you're a guy who's from smaller town, you have a social circle, you know a lot of people, you have social skills as well, you have dated a few women as well, you don't need to rush for marriage even at 30 because of the societal pressures. And if you've decided that you want to move out from that town, that is even better. Reason being, because in that town, probably girls are also getting pressurized, right? So if you don't know anyone, if you're not dating anyone, and if you're moving to a new place, especially in metropolitans, you'll find people at your age who have similar objectives. In that town, it's going to be a little bit more harder. It's not going to be impossible. It's going to be a little bit more harder because of the conditioning. Now, coming to metropolitans again, if you think that you've not done enough by the age of 30, don't succumb to the pressure. Do not succumb to the pressure because the moment you succumb to the pressure, you're going to blame everything externally. कि pressure की वजह से हुआ है, family की वजह से हुआ है, parents की वजह से हुआ है. पूरी जिंदगी आप उनको गाली देते रहोगे and you will not take responsibility for anything in your life. So learn to take extreme ownership. जो भी आप करोगे, do it with a well-informed mind. At least have a base before you end up finding the right partner. Now, especially in metropolitans and even in small towns, if you're settling young, especially if you don't have a partner, maybe your childhood sweetheart, maybe your college relationship, maybe a school relationship. Now, if you're still trying to settle young, what is actually happening? You're acting like there are no better options, which is actually really true. Now, you might not have the social skills, you might not know about female psychology. तुमने कभी cold approach नहीं सीखी होगी, तुमने online dating नहीं करी होगी, तुमने किसी को date नहीं किया होगा, तो होगा क्या? एक scarcity mindset बनेगा. Because of that scarcity mindset, you might want to settle down early because you might think कि अभी लड़की आ रही है, probably उस time पे नहीं आएंगी. इसका ये मतलब नहीं है. इसका ये मतलब है कि you need to work on building that abundant mindset even in dating. Now let's talk about true companionship. True companionship does not need desperation. True companionship needs strength. What that means is a woman is always going to respect a man who chooses with clarity and not fear. Now, true companionship needs strength and not desperation. Remember this, because women respect men who choose with clarity and not out of desperation. Now, imagine if you've chosen a woman and after a few years you tell her that, यार मेरे को तो कभी शादी करनी नहीं थी. I was just pushed because of my family and my parents and the societal expectations. What is going to happen? Is she ever going to respect you? If you have decided that you want to get married and this is the best time for you to get married, you know it better than anyone else. I would recommend going all the routes. Going through cold approach, going through online dating, going through the arranged marriage setup as well. Many dating coaches might look down upon it, but what I would say is it's just means of meeting new people. The more people you meet, the higher the probability of meeting the right person for you.